That's the latest. I'm Tanya Snuggs.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू सामीन मोहतरम आप के साथ इस वक्त आप ईमान एफएम रेडियो समात फरमा रहे हैं 103.1 एफएम पर और लीगल आवर के साथ आपकी खिदमत में हाजिर हैं और ये लीगल आवर जो है ये खान सॉलिसिटर्स के ताउन से आपकी खिदमत में पेश किया जाता है आज जो लीगल आवर में ख़ास तौर पे ट्रैफिक फेंस के हवाले से और जो लाइसेंस पे जो मोहरें लग जाती हैं उसके हवाले से बातचीत होगी और ये बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है इशू क्योंकि जितने भी ड्राइवर्स हैं उनके लिए ये बहुत ही अहम इशू है ख़ास तौर पे जो टैक्सी ड्राइवर्स हैं और जो नॉर्मल ड्राइवर्स हैं सब के लिए ही ये इम्पोर्टेंट इशू है आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मोहतरम शकील अहमद साहब जो सॉलिसिटर हैं खान सॉलिसिटर्स के ऑफिस में काम करते हैं तो इस वक्त आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी
वालेकुम सलाम कैसे
हैं आप
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह
माशाल्लाह okay we'll turn into the English because I know all of you feel better and there are majority people who are listening actually they like to learn by the English so we are talking about traffic offences today and what kind of offences they're taking place obviously there are so many in the traffic or particularly if you cross the traffic red lights or you're speeding up or you're doing something wrong while you're driving and there's so many offences where are we going to start it then?
Well, I think, like you said, this is an important area of the law, and I know some of my colleagues have been here for the last few weeks discussing immigration, and I think last week there was very serious issues about warrants, and prior to that we had police station attendances. So they are where you may feel that they're more serious offences, but I think what we're talking about today is something that can affect every single person listening, especially in this day and age, because most people have motor vehicles. It's come to the stage now where in every house you have 2 to 3 motor vehicles, and it's what we're talking about today is basically the system of the penalty points going on your license, the main offences, and how we can actually assist with making sure that you keep those licenses. I think it's important just before you start just to really outline some of the reasons why we're discussing this topic today. You'll have seen in the news only recently, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, there's been 2 major pieces of news that have been mentioned. And recently, you've heard about the increase in fines for speeding. So this was over the last few weeks. They're coming into force now, where the person who's convicted of a speeding offence in court, you can be fined up to 150% of your weekly income. So that can be quite substantial.
Yes, it is.
And then you heard just a few months ago, and this was in the press quite a lot. It was where it was the mobile telephone.
Using the telephone while you're driving.
Absolutely. And the increase in penalty points for that. You can imagine that when, obviously we're using our phones more and more every day now, and people rely on them. You know, people have satellite navigation systems on their mobile telephones now, so they're relying on them whilst they're driving, and so it's important to bear that in mind. But when mobile phones first came out, and when the government started looking at this, you used to get a fine for using a mobile telephone, and then it moved up to 3 points, and now we're in a situation where there's actually 6 penalty points on your license, and that's something that's very, very important.
If you caught twice, then
Well,
you have to.
you can. Well, this is what we're going to come into. And I was going to say, I mean, a lot of these issues, like I said, these are recently in the news. And our Facebook page, everyone has social media now. If they've got a mobile telephone, they'll have social media and they'll have Facebook. So if they like our Facebook page, we regularly put up their updates on the law and especially driving offences and other matters.
What is the page name, please?
It's Khan Solicitors Facebook page. So if you go on to Facebook and you put in Khan Solicitors, it will come up with Khan Solicitors. Our logo, which is a purple logo with a white K on it, is obviously ours. And you can, if you just click on like on that, and then it regularly updates. So people who know Facebook know how to use that. They can also, obviously, as you say, contact us in our office on Abbeydale Road, which is 014 258 3399. And we also have an office in Bradford. But in any event, just moving on to obviously what we're dealing with today and the reasons why. I think everybody will be aware that it's becoming more and more difficult now to actually, first of all, get a driving license.
Yes.
The tests have become more difficult. They have, and they've increased the number of things that you've got to do. You know, before you never had a theory test, now you've got theory tests. Then the theory test questions have been increased. Then the nature of those questions have been increased.
Yes.
And I've heard that towards the end of this year, the government is looking at changing the practical test, where they will be looking at introducing certain things to do with the modern world. So when I mention phones again, you know, satellite navigation systems, the use of those, probably get rid of what we did in our days, which was the 3-point turns and so on. So, you know, the tests are increasing as well. The other point, and this is why this is another important issue, we touched on the reasons why. Sorry, I touched your microphone. Insurance and how difficult it is to insure, and the price increases, especially in urban areas, in Sheffield and in Yorkshire. Some of the price increases in insurance is ridiculous, especially for new drivers. They
very expensive.
Yeah, the cost of insurance can actually be more than the motor vehicle itself. So it all culminates into where, if you actually get your driving license, to try and keep that driving license. That's I think that's what we're trying to work on today. Now, as you touched on earlier, the general rule is that any person who acquires 12 penalty points within a 3-year period, then they're subject to disqualification. Basically, their license can be taken off them by a court, and it's known as the totting up procedure. So where you tot up points up to 12 points, you can go to court. Normally, they disqualify you for 6 months. So that's the general rule. There is other exceptions to that, where there's sometimes it's 4 years and longer. But I think that's what most people deal with on a daily basis. So it's not very difficult to acquire 12 points in this day and age in 3 years. And I'll give you some examples of why. We touched upon one of the most common ones that we see nowadays is speeding. Yeah. And there's traffic cameras on every other road now.
Everywhere,
You'll always hear the arguments whether it's for road safety or whether it's making money, but in any event, they're there and we can't really do anything about that. But 3 to 6 penalty points for speeding, depending on your speed and on where you are. So, say for instance, you get 6 penalty points, you do that twice. An offence that's worth 6 penalty points, you're up before the courts.
True.
So somebody who is working and on a daily basis is using their car morning and noon, it's not very, you're doing that quite often, so you know you're putting yourself at risk. So that's speeding. I touched upon mobile telephones again. One speeding offence, one mobile telephone offence, and you're there again, aren't you?
True.
Insurance. Now, insurance is such a wide and important issue. We could do a whole session in your show
on the insurance.
In the insurance.
But if you had the 3 points or 6 points, the insurance goes up anyway.
Well, it goes up, doesn't it? That's the thing. But the fact is, if you get caught driving without no insurance, it's not 3 or 6 penalty points. It's between 6 to 8 penalty points.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So whereas speeding is, maybe 3 points, and you get stopped doing other things, and it's only 3 points.
True.
Insurance it goes up a notch, you see. So 6 to 8 penalty points, you're on the cusp, aren't you, really? Any other further mishaps or little errors, and you're looking to lose your licence straight away. Just want to mention something which affects a lot of our people, and we come across this quite regularly now in the courts. There used to be a time where people were insured on their motor vehicles, and when they had comprehensive insurance, which basically was the fullest cover that you could obtain, they were able to drive other people's motor vehicles on their own insurance, so long as that vehicle. So say I had a vehicle and I was comprehensively insured, you had a car which you'd insured, I would be able to, on my insurance, drive, and it was held the norm that's how it happened. That's changed recently. And it's so it's very important that you actually check your cover and your policies, because just because you've got comprehensive insurance doesn't mean that you're allowed to drive somebody else's motor vehicle. So it's very, very important that you do that.
So this is very, very important issue. I think the many people maybe don't know about.
Well, a lot of people don't know. They come to us.
I don't know.
Well, it used to, like I say, it used to be the case that people were able to drive on other people's motor vehicles on their own comprehensive policies, but the situation is now, and the advice that I would give to people is, when you are making that telephone call to the insurance company, to be absolutely honest with them, to be give them the full information, to make a note of what you're telling them, and then to read the insurance policy when it's sent to you, to make sure that everything that you have said or you want cover for is there. Because what will happen is, when people get stopped now, the police, they are quite vigorous in the checks that they do, and people get stopped and they're driving, and they think that they're driving because they're allowed to travel to work in it, or they can use it for work, but the policy only covers them for social, domestic and pleasure, and they didn't know. Or as the example that I gave, in the course of they've got comprehensive insurance and they believe that they can drive somebody else's car. So it's very, very important that people look at those documents, because we'll all be aware that insurance companies are the first to try and wiggle the way out of it if they don't have to pay. So
that's what they do. Actually.
Well, absolutely.
When it's coming to the payment,
they don't want to pay.
No.
They don't.
They go to details, information and everything.
When it comes to taking the money, it's a bit different, and obviously the premiums are so high, and so many people are getting caught out with this. So it's very, very important that they read that. A couple of other things which attract high penalty points, and what people need to be aware of is careless driving, also used to be known as due care and attention. And this is basically, whereas no insurance is a matter of fact whether you've got it or not, careless driving is on the bit looking of the police can see you driving in a manner, and they may feel that you're not driving in an appropriate manner. You may have caused an accident, or you may have been involved in an accident, and the police may feel that it's your fault, and those offences can range from anything from 3 to 9 points. So when we talk about 12 penalty points, it's again, that's a high number of points that you can have on your licence on just one occasion. Just before we move on, I just wanted to discuss something else with you. We talked about the 12 penalty points and what happens when you get the 12 penalty points and you're disqualified from driving. Normally in the magistrate's court, when you're disqualified from driving because of the totting up procedure, that's the 12 points on your licence, you're disqualified for a period of 6 months. But where you get, say for instance, you get disqualified and then you're caught driving 2 months later again, and that's a separate offence of driving whilst disqualified. Now that's
another issue.
Well, that's another issue, because people may think that that's another driving matter and we're talking about penalty points or we're talking about fines. That's actually very serious, because anybody convicted of driving whilst disqualified can actually be sent to prison for 6 months. Okay, so it's not the case that you get caught driving whilst disqualified and they'll say, okay, we'll give you another 6 points or we'll give you another 9 points. It doesn't work like that.
No.
It's basically...
It can be prison.
Yeah, it can be prison in the magistrate. You will go to court for it, and people do and get sent to prison for those offences.
Right.
So it's important that you have the right advice, and obviously you pay careful attention to that. And certainly we've seen it in the case where it can be longer than 6 months. People who are caught or who are chased because they've got no insurance, they've been disqualified. So that's the first thing. And when they see police behind them, then naturally they don't want to stop, so they start driving even further and faster away, and then that results in dangerous driving and going through red traffic lights and other offences. And where you're convicted of dangerous driving, those are matters that can go to the Crown Court, and so the sentences can be up to 2-3 years. We've seen in cases where that can actually happen as well. So it's important that you pay careful attention to obviously the fines that the courts impose, and you have the right advice as well. But before we come to all these offences, there's something which people don't really know about, or they do know about, but they don't give it the attention and consideration they should. And that is what we call the requirement to provide driver details under Section 172 of the Road Traffic Act. Now, that's a bit of law for you, but I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
So, say for instance, your car gets flashed on the road and it's speeding and it's doing 37 or 36 in a 30 mile per hour road.
Yeah.
The next thing that will happen is the person who's the registered keeper of that motor vehicle will receive a letter from the police in the post saying, can you please tell us who the driver was on the day in question?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that is a very, very important document, because what people don't realise is the offence itself obviously is important, which we've just gone across, but not returning that document can actually result in 6 penalty points as well on your licence.
Oh, that's another
absolutely
issue.
Well, it's very important because
not many people knows about this.
This is the thing. This is we get so many of these coming to court now because people don't realise the importance of it. Because you've got people who, in the example I gave, say for instance they stopped or they flashed driving at 37 miles an hour. In normal circumstances, you would expect 3 penalty points if the matter went to court.
Okay.
Nowadays, the government has adopted an approach where people who are new or haven't got many points on their license, they offered a driver's course, so you don't get any points on your license. If you complete that course, no points go on your license.
True.
Okay?
Yeah.
But for that same offence, just say you don't return that form which the police are asking you for information on, you could end up in court. You could end up receiving 6 penalty points, whereas you could have got none. You could end up receiving fines. Okay. And it gets to a stage where the form actually costs you more than the actual driving offence initially. So it's very, very important that those forms are returned. They're returned properly. Okay, and that they're done in time, basically, and with the information that the police require. Because the next issue we have with this, and this is becoming so and so more and more common in the courts, is that people will say, well, we never received the
letter.
Yeah, we never received the letter. Well, that in itself isn't good enough.
It's an excuse.
Well, you may not have received the letter, but all the courts, you may be genuine in your account that you didn't receive the letter.
Okay.
But all the police or the prosecution have got to show is that they sent the letter to the last known address, and that it was sent with the address recorded as a registered keeper. It was sent, properly with first class post, and it's then the courts class that as being deemed served. So the courts don't care whether you received it or not, as long as they can show that they sent it properly, as long as the prosecution can prove that it was sent to the last registered keeper's address, it was sent with the proper postage. This is where it went. Then it's for you to stand up in court and say, well, why didn't you receive it? But the courts will say that, well, that document was sent and it should have been received by you. So it's not easy to get away with that. And obviously some people say they've moved out and they've gone to a different address. Well, again, why is the car still registered at the same address? So you get into other issues. We've got cases where people say they've sent the phone back and the police haven't received it. And then you've got an argument before the courts, and this is people's livelihoods, because the licenses, families depend on them. So again, these are important issues. And then, say for instance, you've got a house where there's one vehicle or there's two vehicles, but there's four people who have all got driving licenses in that address. They're all insured to drive the car. It gets flashed on a Sunday afternoon. 2 weeks later or a week later, you receive a letter and nobody's quite sure who was driving the car. So what do? You've still got to return it back. Now, if the police don't think that if you don't know who the driver was, you've got to show then that you have done everything reasonably possible, that you've done what's called due diligence. This is one of the only defences to this, really, that you've done everything in your power to find out who the driver was, because otherwise you can be back into court. And again, those matters go to court, and it's the court who decides whether they feel that what you've done is right or wrong in the circumstances. So again, as I say, a very, very important issue, something that people do get caught out on, and it's something that they need to remember about. Another thing which is quite common in this area, and obviously we've heard a lot about this, and the reason why we've heard about it because there's been cases reported on this. People lie as to who the driver was. They put the wrong details down, possibly because, for instance, they may have 9 penalty points themselves, and they know that if they put their own details down, they could be getting another 3, and then they'll be liable to disqualification. I think what's important and what needs to be understood is that is a very, very serious offence. Where you're dealing with at the moment just penalty points, by putting the wrong details down on that form, you could actually be committing an offence of perverting the course of justice, which is an offence that bypasses the magistrate's court and goes all the way to the Crown Court. It's so serious. And you can receive sentences, heavy sentences. People have received 9, 12 months in situations where they've put the wrong details down on the actual form. And there's been cases where in a household the husband and wife basically, similar to the situation I said, the husband's possibly got 9 points, says to the wife, you put your details down, you take these points. They've been found out to be lying. Both the husband and wife received 8 months imprisonment. So you have got to be very, very careful when dealing with this. Having said all that, I think it's important to bear in mind that there are defences to this. It's important that you have the right legal advice. There are technical defences to this area of law as far as the document is returned, because the police have got to do certain things which are right. They've got to serve that initial letter within 14 days. They've got to make sure that it's sent properly. When people come to us with these sort of cases, we check that the police have done their work properly, that the statements say everything that they should do. And a lot of people get off on technicalities on this, and obviously with the right advice, and when we cross-examine police officers, they're unable to say whether the document was sent back or not. And I would just add to that at this moment in time, driving offences don't attract legal aid. So in the main, so if you're on driving whilst disqualified and serious offences, like I mentioned, dangerous driving or perverting the course of justice, you can do, but where for speeding and for these offences where you're about to lose your licence, in the main they don't attract legal aid. So it's important that if you're going to instruct somebody, because you've got to consider whether paying a solicitor is more important or losing your job and losing your licence is more important. You understand? So the right advice is important as well. We Crown Solicitors, just to add on this point, offer a free advice session. Initially, we will go through your case with you, explain to you the rights and wrongs of it, the ins and outs of it. We don't charge for that. And if we have to go to court and we have to represent you, then we can discuss the fees, and obviously your listeners get preferable rates in any event. But just to say that if obviously they do succeed,
have to go for a break now.
That's fine. Can I just add, just at this last minute, if they do succeed, then there's their costs are paid back from the court, so they don't lose anything.
Thank you very much. یہ تھے شکیل احمد جو کہ سلیسیٹر ہیں خان سلیسیٹر سے یہاں آج ٹریفک افینس کے بارے میں بات چیت ہو رہی ہے آپ سنتے رہیں ایمان ایف ایم 103.1 ایف ایم اور فردر معلومات آپ کو ملیں گی
Equipping the generation towards a cohesive society. This is Iman FM.
The Revival Show with Matloob Hussain Ali Khan every Thursday from 8 till 10 p.m. Reviving memories of old and new, classical, spiritual and uplifting naats, nasheeds, ghazals, qawwalis and the historical traditions of Sufi masters. Only on Iman FM 103.1 FM.
In a world where accident claims are poorly managed and the referral fees paid are so low, and just when all hope is lost in the city of Sheffield, a hero emerges. A hero so powerful, one phone number is all you need. A hero named Mr. Compensator. For your referral fee of £2,000, call Mr. Compensator now on 0114 3863 386. Terms and conditions apply.
At Rahman Superstore, we want you to enjoy your shopping experience and save money.
8 मई से 15 मई तक सेल और स्पेशल ऑफर्स की भरमार 2 किलो चिकन ब्रेस्ट 699 फुल लैम्ब 489 पर केजी ताजा सब्जियां फ्रूट और हर किस्म के मसाला जात और ग्रोसरी के लिए तशरीफ लाइए आपके अपने रहमान सुपर स्टोर पर
Come and fill your trolleys with special offers at Rahman Superstore, 121 Musborough Street, Rotherham.
मैं जा रही हूँ द बाजार में
For a great happy shopping day, visit the bazaar. You will love the new bazaar.
जहाँ पर हर तरह के नए फैशन अच्छी कीमतों के साथ खुले हैं.
Visit the bazaar at Syme Street, BD1 3RB, former Rawson Market.
Open every Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Also every Wednesday at Leeds Kirkgate Market.
The bazaar, जहाँ आपको हर किस्म की चीज मिल सकती है.
The bazaar. Ooh yeah. मेरा नाम आयशा है और मेरा ताल्लुक कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट मीरपुर से है. कोर्ट एजुकेशनल कॉम्प्लेक्स चरिकस मेरे ख्वाबों की जन्नत जहां बेहतरीन देखभाल आला तालीम बेपनाह प्यार और मेहरबान शफकत हम सबको हासिल है. अब फेज 2 में 500 बच्चों और बच्चियों के लिए रिहायशगाहें बन रही हैं और इसके लिए 9 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए. मुझे यकीन है आप मायूस नहीं करेंगे.
कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट 0300 123 7774 court.org.uk.
Iman FM on air 24/7 365. We're ready to help you promote your business to your target market, from airtime campaigns to program sponsorship, social media interaction to online campaigns that'll reach your customers quickly and effectively. Call us now on 0114 242 0551 or email info@imanfm.com and let's get things happening to your business with Iman FM.
ओ दोस्ता ओ मेरी स्पीडिंग टिकट है मैं क्या करा तू खान सोलिसिटर्स की कॉल कर उना कोल स्पेशल टीम ही जेडी रोड ट्रैफिक केसेस रेड लाइटां नो इंश्योरेंस तो किनी के इमिग्रेशन फ्रॉड मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग पर्सनल इंजरी क्लेम्स सिविल लिटिगेशन ते कत्ल दे केस भी हल करने ने ते जे तुसा समझो कि पुलिस तुसे नाल कोई ज्यादती कीती है ते ओ कंपनसेशन भी दुआने ने ओ खान चढ़ा माड़ी जान
Khan Solicitors 351 Abbeydale Road Sheffield 0114 258 3399.
Locally at 103.1 on FM. Globally at imanfm.com on the internet. This is Iman FM.
Yes, this is Iman FM 103.1 FM and also you are watching us on Iman TV online on Facebook and YouTube as well. And same time you are listening all over the world. Today we are discussing traffic offences and alhamdulillah अब तक जो हमारे solicitor यहाँ मौजूद हैं शकील अहमद साहब इन्होंने हमें मुख्तलिफ जो चीज़ें हैं वो बताई हैं. सबसे पहले जो चीज़ उन्होंने बताई वो थी स्पीडिंग. ज़ाहिर है कि अगर आप एक बार स्पीडिंग करते हैं और पकड़े जाते हैं तो उस पे आपको अप टू 6 जो है वो पॉइंट्स मिल सकते हैं और अगर दूसरी बार करेंगे तो फिर वो आपका लाइसेंस भी जाता रहेगा. इसी तरह जो टेलीफोन जो यूज़ करते हैं लोग, टेक्स्ट करते हैं या ख़ास तौर पे कॉल भी करते हैं, तो उस ऑफेंस में भी जिस तरह के आप को पता है कि अब 200 पाउंड और 6 पॉइंट्स जो है आपके लाइसेंस पे लगते हैं, फ़ाइन भी होता है, और अगर दोबारा आप कॉट हो गए, दोबारा पकड़े गए, तो उस सूरत में आपका लाइसेंस जाता रहेगा। इसी तरह इंश्योरेंस जो है ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है, और अगर कोई शख्स जो है बग़ैर इंश्योरेंस के गाड़ी चला रहा है तो उस के लाइसेंस पे भी जो है वो 6 पॉइंट लग सकते हैं। लेकिन बल्कि जैसा शकील बता रहे थे कि अगर बग़ैर इंश्योरेंस के आप गाड़ी चला रहे हों तो उस सूरत में आपको जेल भी हो सकती है। इसके अलावा केयरलेस ड्राइविंग जो अक्सर आप देखते हैं कि कुछ हमारे नौजवान जो हैं वो इतने केयरलेस ड्राइविंग करते हैं कि दूसरों की ज़िंदगी जो है वो ख़तरे में डाल देते हैं। तो उसकी वजह से भी आपको जो है केयरलेस ड्राइविंग करने की वजह से भी आपको 6 पॉइंट तक जो है वो मिल सकते हैं, और अगर वो दोबारा बंदा पकड़ा गया तो फिर उस पे भी आपका लाइसेंस जाता रहेगा। और एक और चीज़ जो हम सब ने आज नई सीखी है वो ये है कि जो लेटर पुलिस की तरफ से आता है और उसको हम अगर वापस नहीं भेजते तो उस सूरत में भी आपको 6 पॉइंट तक जो है वो जो पॉइंट लग सकते हैं लाइसेंस पे, और फ़ाइन भी हो सकता है। तो इसलिए ये बहुत ज़रूरी बात है कि अगर आपकी गाड़ी किसी भी इंसिडेंट में इन्वॉल्व है या थी या कि कोई और ड्राइविंग कर रहा था, तो उस सूरत में उस लेटर को आप फौरी रिप्लाई करें ताकि आप जो पॉइंट्स हैं उनसे बच जाएं। और फिर आखिर में इन्होंने बताया कि अक्सर लोग जो हमारे बल्कि ये हमारे लोग नहीं है बल्कि दुनिया भर में ऐसा होता है कि वो झूठ बोल देते हैं, लाई करते हैं। ड्राइविंग कोई और कर रहा होता है तो कहते हैं कि कोई दूसरे का नाम दे देते हैं। तो ये भी अगर उनको पता चल जाए तो इस सूरत में कि अगर पुलिस ये फाइंड आउट कर ले या अदालत ये फाइंड आउट कर ले, कोर्ट वाले जज को ये पता चल जाए कि आप दोनों जो हैं, दोनों बंदे जो हैं ये गलत बयानी से काम ले रहे हैं या लाई कर रहे हैं, तो इस सूरत में उन्हें 8 माह तक इम्प्रिजनमेंट हो सकती है, जेल हो सकती है। तो ये जो ऑफेंसेस हैं, स्पीडिंग होगी, फ़ोन होगी, इंश्योरेंस ना होना, और फिर उसके बाद केयरलेस ड्राइविंग और ख़त का जवाब ना देना, लाई करना, ये सारे के सारे आज के दौर में ऐसे ऑफेंसेस हैं। वो पहला ज़माना गुज़र गया जब जो है ना पुलिस वाले भी छोड़ देते थे, कोई बात नहीं है। लेकिन अब चूँकि एक ऑफेंस को जो है उसमें रजिस्टर किया जाता है, तो ऐसी सूरत में आप अपना लाइसेंस जो है वो गंवा सकते हैं और बैन हो सकते हैं ड्राइविंग से अप टू 6 मंथ। इसके अलावा जो ख़ास बात शकील अहमद साहब ने बताई है, जो कि आज रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं खान सॉलिसिटर्स को, वो ये है कि इंश्योरेंस जो है, जो ज़ाहिर है कि ज़्यादातर लोग जो हैं वो कॉम्प्रहेंसिव इंश्योरेंस कराते हैं, जिसे हम आम लफ्ज़ों में कहते हैं कि फुली इंश्योरेंस कराते हैं। लेकिन उसमें एक तब्दीली जो आई है वो ये है कि आप पहले तो ये था कि फुली इंश्योरेंस आपने करा ली और आप किसी दूसरे की गाड़ी को भी चला सकते थे उसकी इजाज़त के साथ। लेकिन अब जो है इंश्योरेंस वाले जो है टेक्निकली उन्होंने इस चीज़ को ख़त्म कर दिया है, और अगर हमें किसी दूसरे की गाड़ी चलानी है या किसी दूसरे की गाड़ी को ड्राइव करना है तो फिर उस सूरत में हमें अपनी इंश्योरेंस वालों से बात भी करनी चाहिए, और न सिर्फ ये कि वो डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो भेजते हैं उनको भी पढ़ना चाहिए और देखना चाहिए कि आर वी कवर्ड और नॉट। तो ये चीज़ें जो हैं ये सारी आज डिस्कस हुई हैं पहले घंटे में। पहले आधे घंटे में अब जो अगला जो है वो ये है कि आप लाइसेंस अपना किस तरह बचा के रख सकते हैं और इस सिलसिले में चलते हैं शकील साहब की जानिब और हम उनसे पूछते हैं कि हाउ वी कैन मैनेज टू हैव क्लीन एंड सेव आवर लाइसेंस
I think the answer is it's a little more technical than that what I'm going to talk about, but okay. as you say, the first half hour has been all bad news really. It's been all points on your license and losing your license and people receiving prison sentences. And normally, as I say, when one of these offences is committed, the court has a duty to endorse your license with penalty points. And as we touched on, when it gets 12 penalty points, they have normally a duty to disqualify you for a period of time. Just worth mentioning, because it's not something that I touched on earlier on, people who pass their driving tests, because we talked about 12 penalty points, it's just new drivers. So people who have passed their driving test in the first 2 years, if they receive 6 penalty points in the first 2 years, their license is taken off them and they have to do their test again. And I forgot to mention that in the first segment. So although we talk about 12 penalty points for normal driving, anybody who's been only passed for under 2 years and they accumulate 6 penalty points, they will lose their license. The license will be revoked in essence. And they will have to do their test again.
So they have to go through again.
They have to do the test again, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So because they think that those people are more at risk, the new drivers, of causing issues on the roads and the safety of others. So if they don't feel that they're competent, then they think that they should go for a retest and go through the whole rigmarole again. And it's very expensive nowadays, as we know. It's a big business, isn't it, taking driving lessons? I think nowadays it used to be about £10 or something when I qualified, but now it's over £20. So it's an important area. But
there is another the training session which is provided by the DVLA. Is that for the older drivers? When they do any offence, and they ask them to take the training at their centres.
Well, that's where they. So, say for instance, people who have, if I understand you correctly, committed an offence, and they give you a choice of either taking the 3 penalty points, or they say attend a course, and if you attend that course, we won't give you the 3 penalty points. And what they do on them courses is called a speed awareness course. So they tell you about the dangers of speeding and how to avoid it and so on, and it's actually quite useful and very helpful to do that. And it's obviously benefits people because you don't get 3 points on your license, and your insurance isn't going up. So that's why everyone, basically anybody can get that, but you have to be offered it. It's not something that you can apply for. So moving on, I think just to discuss really for people, say for instance they got into a situation where they've committed an offence by error, by mistake, or however, and there's no way around it. They've got the penalty points. Are there any circumstances where that disqualification can be avoided or the endorsement can be avoided? And I want to talk about 2 main scenarios really, or situations where the courts, although you have to accept you're guilty of the offence, although you admit that whether you were speeding or whatever, you say to the court, you plead with the court that please don't endorse my license or please don't disqualify me. And there's 2 ways that people do that. The first one is that they argue that there's special reasons for the court not to endorse the license, so not to put the penalty points on, or then not to disqualify them. And the court have to look to find whether there is special reason. Now, special reasons, it sounds like an ordinary word, but it's actually a very legal term. Special reasons, and case law has decided for a situation to be classed as a special reason, it has to match 4 criteria, and I'll explain this to you, but I think it's important that I just mention these so people understand. First of all, it can't be a defence, so you have to admit the offence first of all. So say for instance you've got caught no insurance, so you have to admit that you didn't have insurance. It has to be a mitigating circumstance, so it has to be something that the court can say, well, yes, that brings the offence to slightly lower it, downplays your involvement or it downplays the offence. It has to be connected with the offence. So that thing that they take into account, that special reason, has to have something to do with the offence. And thirdly and fourthly, it has to be something that the court should properly take into account. Now, that was quite a lot there, but I had to explain it to you because that's the legal definition. But let me give you some examples about this. So where the court may think that it's a special reasons, or where they may find it. Now, these are mostly used in cases of drink driving, so where people are caught with alcohol and they argue that someone has, whether they say spiked the drink or they argue whether the shortness of the distance that they've travelled and so on. But to be honest, that's another separate area where it's quite detailed, and so that would be putting a too general point of it. The comments that I've just made is more complicated than that. But the second point is, for instance, no insurance. So, for instance, the fact with insurance is it's an offence what's called strict liability. So you either have insurance or you don't have it. Okay, you can't say that I didn't know, or I meant to get insurance and I didn't. So that's the first thing. But let me give you some examples. So say, for instance, a husband and wife both have motor vehicles, or they're both insured on one car, and the husband is the person who deals with all the paperwork, and he deals with the insurance companies, and he deals with the payments of the fees to the insurance company. And he says to his wife, don't worry, I'm going to renew the insurance this month, and I'll make sure that you're insured, and I'll pay the fees, the insurance quote off and everything. And she relies on him because he's the one who's done it, and he's told her she's done it, and it's been reasonable for her to accept that. And suddenly she finds that the husband made a mistake and he didn't get insured. Or
he didn't do it.
Yeah, he didn't do it. Or say, for instance, something happens with the husband's bank account and the money isn't getting out, the direct debit doesn't get paid to the insurance company, they stop the insurance company insurance. The wife didn't know.
True.
That can be used as a situation. Sometimes the insurance company cancel the policy, and people often say, well, we never received a letter from them, or we never received this. So that's something that needs to be investigated. Did the insurance policy company cancel the policy in a valid way? Because again, you wouldn't have insurance, but you would be able to argue to the court that, look, this is a reason that you take into account that I didn't know that the insurance company had cancelled my policy, and so on. Say, for instance, the bank makes a mistake and your direct debit gets cancelled. These an emergency situation. So you're acting in an emergency. You don't have insurance, but someone's life is at risk, and you've done something that can amount to it. Sometimes they talk about that you only drove for a very, very short distance. So all these things are things that can be taken into account, and you can say to the court, look, you can take this into account, that this is the reason why I've committed this offence, but please don't endorse my licence. And they look at that, and they will then consider those arguments. I think it's worth saying you can't just turn up in the court and just say that. You need to present your case and prepare your case. And again, this is something that we can help you with, and you need proper advice and assistance. And the court will want to know if it's an emergency, what the nature of the emergency was, how serious it was, whether there was anything else available to you, whether you could have caught the bus.
The most important is evidence. Because if you have evidence, then you can prove that why you don't want to be taken your license away.
Well, see, you can turn up to court like that, but if you don't have answers to the questions that they will have, so you're saying that, well, it was an emergency. Well, the court will say, well, what was the emergency? Did you have any other options? For instance, was there somebody else in your family who could have driven? Or was there, why couldn't you get a taxi or something else in those circumstances? And they'd look at the risk that you present to the road users, the distance driven, and so on. And these are things that the court will take into account, and they'll consider. So it's important that you're aware of that. Okay. So special reasons is one way that you can keep your license, and you can argue to the courts. The courts have the law in this country builds up on statute what the parliament passes, and also from what cases go before the courts. So what's called common law. And so there's a lot of cases on this area. So it'd take a long time for me to go through every special reason and what's not been held a special reason and what is a special reason in the court. But the court looks at everybody's circumstances differently, and they will look at them. And so if you have the proper advice, and if you need that assistance, and something that we can help you with, but the court will look at your circumstances and they will find it. And obviously it's worth doing if it prevents you losing your license and it prevents points being endorsed on your license. So it's something worth looking into. That's the first thing. The second thing, which possibly may appeal to more people, and is something that I can imagine a lot of people would have to give thought to if they lost their driving licenses, is something called exceptional hardship.
Okay.
Now, basically, what that is you say to the court, yes, I'm guilty of this offence.
Yeah.
But if you take my license off me, if you disqualify me from driving, then you will either cause me or somebody very close to me exceptional hardship, because I need my license. Otherwise, I can't.
To support the.
Yeah. So, for instance, people who are taxi drivers, and this is an important point for them, if they lose their
the driving license,
the license, they obviously can't carry on working.
Yeah, they can't.
If they can't carry on working, then they won't be able to pay their mortgage off.
Yeah.
If they can't pay their mortgage off, they possibly will be homeless.
Yeah.
The wife will be homeless. The children will be homeless.
True.
So it's not simply that you lose your job. It has to be a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But the courts, on those sort of grounds, will look at it that, look, he's got young kids or he's got a family, who will it cause hardship? In our community especially, there's people do not have sometimes, our elders who came from India and Pakistan, they didn't go to school here, they don't have the qualifications, they've learned to drive, and their jobs rely on driving, so they're delivery drivers, or they use driving their vehicles for, as I say, taxis and so they don't have any other qualifications. So it's not a case that if they lose their license, they can suddenly apply and get jobs elsewhere. It's very difficult to get jobs in this day and age in any event, even if you've got university degrees. So somebody who loses their license, it's going to be even more difficult for them. So the courts will look into this, that do these people
so the court do actually listen.
They will listen,
this type of cases, if people have a family and children and the mortgage to pay and other things.
They will listen, but it's not. I say this, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to attract business for myself or anything. I'm saying this: you need proper legal advice, because your case needs to be presented in a way that the magistrates actually understand what you're saying. Because everybody can turn up to court and say, "Well, I've got a job." That is not enough.
No.
Okay, and you have to present evidence. So you have to present mortgage statements, and you have to present, other documents about your wage, and what you
what the money is going actually. Who is supporting them?
So exactly. So if you're saying that I'm supporting my family, and if my family lose, I lose my license, they lose the job, so on. So then you need to be able to show that. It's more than that actually, and this is why it's an important question that you asked. Do the courts listen? They do listen. We've had cases where our clients have had children who need regular care, and they need they've got hospital appointments, and one of the family members is ill, and they regularly need to go to the hospital on an evening or something like this, and it would be way too expensive or impracticable for them to actually use taxis, because the court will turn around and say, well, why can't you use public transport? That's the natural question, isn't it? If you lose your license, you go and use public transport. So we have had cases where they rely on the fact that it'll cause the children hardship. Other cases, and again something for businessmen and people in businesses, say you lose your license, and you're a person whose business relies on motor vehicles, so you're couriers or you're delivery drivers, or you've got a business where you're delivering furniture or something like this, and you losing your job, license would mean you lose your job, which in effect would mean that you may have to lay off 3 or 4 other people working for you. True. So the court will take that into account. That can be classed as exceptional hardship as well. So these are arguments that can be forwarded to the court. One important point that I just want to mention at this stage, and this is a defense actually for anybody who's an employee.
Okay.
If you're an employee and you get caught with no insurance, it's a defense if you were told by your employer that they were sorting out the insurance. Okay, and you reasonably believed that they had sorted out the insurance for you and that they had done it. Okay, so that applies to delivery drivers as well, doesn't it? Sometimes it applies to taxi drivers where the taxi company says, well, we'll sort the insurance out and we'll make sure you're insured, or the delivery driver's takeaway says that yes, you're insured, we've got the car, here it is, and we're saying that you're insured. That person gets stopped 2 days later and he says, well, I thought the takeaway was going to sort this out. You understand? So it's in a defense, but again, in cases like that, you're going to have to be able to take somebody from the company to court and say, well, yeah, I was meant to sort it out, but it is a defense to do that in court. So this issue of exceptional hardship, the court, as I say, they will look at it, they will try to understand it, but you need evidence. You can't just turn up into court and you say, well, this is what I've got and this is what I want to do. You need to show that the documents and with evidence and with statements possibly from family members and hospital appointments and doctors. But these are two avenues where people who have acquired 12 penalty points are able to keep their licenses, and they're very, very important. And it's something that people need to obviously bear in mind, and we can assist them in those situations and present their case and prepare their case, and as I said, that we're able to offer them free independent legal advice and to prepare their case on those matters. So it's worth knowing. It's very, very important, because it was all bad news in the first half or first segment, but this is things that the court, if you've got proper representation, that the court can take into account and you can survive and keep your license.
Yeah, that's. I think it's very, very important, and we are approaching only left a couple of minutes to the end of our show. But today we've been discussing traffic offences, and of course, any offence which is legally you done it wrong, it is an offence, and it's you are reliable to that. But as Shakeel give us some information that you may actually go to the court and ask for not to take your license away because of your family, or you're supporting other people, or you supporting you have a disabled member of family, or any other reasons that if you lose your license, then you will be losing the house, losing the other revenues or other things which is very important to you. So this only can be done if you have a proper legal representation, and for that you need to have a proper solicitor. So this is why we are doing these shows, Legal Hour with Khan solicitors, so that give you information, and if you need any help or assistance, you can call them on every hour. You listen Khan solicitors ad on our radio, and you can call them, discuss with them, or anything happen to you, you can actually discuss with them. Anything else you like to say?
No, thank you very much. I hope it's been of benefit to people. I hope they've learned something, because as I say, these may sound trivial, but these are very, very important in people's lives.
Yeah, there is many things I learned myself, and of course many other people also
I hope
learn.
so, yeah.
And I hope if you have any question, you can come back.
Of course,
and you can call any solicitor, but particularly Khan solicitors. Thank you very much, Shakeel, coming and giving very important information to our listeners. Thank you very much. So we are end our show, and please keep listening. Today मौज़म चैरिटी जो है कार वाश हो रहा है, ابھی بھی 3 گھنٹے رہتے ہیں 8 بجے تک یہ کار واش چلتا رہے گا سپیڈی کار واش شیفیلڈ روڈ ٹنزلے میں تو آپ بھی وہاں پر جائیں اور ان کے ساتھ تعاون کریں اور جو معظم علی شہید ویلفیئر ٹرسٹ کے ساتھ تعاون کریں اسی کے ساتھ آج کا پروگرام جو ہے ختم ہوتا ہے السلام علیکم